Ladies and gentlemen, and this is Why Was Kazakhstan the Last to Leave USSR? Short animated documentary by the channel History Matters. Kazakhstan left the USSR 4 days after Russia did, okay? Make it sole remaining state in the Soviet Union. Damn, alright. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, obviously, Soviet Union, was part of, obviously was a union, so multiple countries. But let's be honest, Russia was kind of the core of it, right? Moscow being the center of it. So it's really weird to see Russia left, but Kazakhstan didn't. But I guess, 4 days is not much. So I guess there must be some political reason behind it, right? I know many states, countries that came about after USSR. Wasn't much of countries before USSR formed. So I don't know if Kazakhstan was one of them. But yeah, that could be another reason, like they needed some political reason or something, or some, just to declare themselves independent or something, or they didn't want to make anyone angry or something. I don't know, but it's going to be fun. I like History Matters. They, explain some complex topics, especially some topics that I guess, other history channel doesn't talk about much. Because let's be honest, this is a 4-minute video, right? So it's just like, talking about some complex topic and just breaking down simplistically, and they can just move on to the next topic. So this channel covers a lot of different historical topics. So it's fun. Let's watch it.
In 1990, the USSR, already having a difficult time, started to fall apart in earnest. First, it was Lithuania who left, followed by all of these states until December 1991, when only the Russian, Belarusian and Kazakh Soviet Socialist republics remained. Belarus seceded on the 10th of December, and 2 days later Russia, the main component, also left, leaving only the Kazakhs. Not just in the USSR, but effectively as the USSR for 4 whole days until it opted to secede too. Which raises an obvious question.
Wait a minute, Kazakhs, is that the same as Cossacks? Or is it different? Because that would be, I never thought of it, but yeah, Kazakhstan, Kazakhs. Is it the same? I don't know.
Why? Why was Kazakhstan the last to leave the USSR? Well, as the Soviet Union was falling apart, there was a struggle for power between Mikhail Gorbachev, president of the Soviet Union, who wanted to preserve the USSR, and Boris Yeltsin, the chairman of the Russian Supreme Soviet, who wanted an independent, non-communist Russia. Yeltsin was in the process of dismantling the USSR's ministries and bureaucracies, and was in contact with the Belarusian and Ukrainian leaders whilst doing so. And these discussions ended with the Belavesia Accords. This repealed the founding document of the USSR between the 3 countries and also created a successor state, the CIS.
Yeah, okay. I don't know much about the history during when USSR fell, but I'm pretty sure I've seen clips. Is it the same time or is it after that? I'm pretty sure I've seen clips of tanks attacking, I guess, government buildings because of this. Was it that around the same time, right? Because I think it was Yeltsin, right, who basically attacked, building. I guess this was the time where Soviet Union was kind of dissolving completely. I don't know. I need to watch a history video about that because I'm kind of hazy about it.
The Commonwealth of Independent States. In the Kazakh Soviet Republic, this caused anger, since unlike Ukraine, they were still a member of the Soviet Union and nobody had asked them for their opinion. Furthermore, there were a lot of legal questions as to whether these 3 were allowed to dissolve a sovereign state or not. The Kazakh leader Nursultan Nazarbayev was sent to Moscow by the other Central Asian states to seek a compromise. You see, whilst all except the Kazakhs had left the USSR, many still wanted close cooperation with Russia. The problem was that their leaders were elected within the Soviet framework, and abolishing the USSR may have destroyed their legitimacy. As such, they tried to moderate between Yeltsin's independence and Gorbachev's return to the USSR as it was before. This never happened, and on the 12th of December, Russia left the USSR and only the Kazakhs remained. So what happened during this time? Well, the Kazakhs were doing 2 things. Negotiating with Russia to allow central states into the new CIS, which was hoped would be closer to the USSR and its operation than a trading bloc. And also creating the framework to be an independent country just in case everything fell apart. This included changing the Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic's name to the Republic of Kazakhstan, but again, it was still a technicality since it was the sole remaining state in the USSR. So how did things like foreign relations work? Did Kazakhstan have to represent the USSR at the United Nations or have to take on its foreign obligations? Well, no. The USSR's president and leader was still in the same Moscow office as before, and so all of the international discussions going on at the time were done there. Gorbachev was still the president of the USSR, if it still existed that was, and things were moving so...
Okay, yeah, I guess I was just about to say, like, what the fuck? First of all, if Russia left and Kazakhstan is the only USSR left, why still keep the office in Moscow? Why represent from there? But then I realized, wait a minute, all this is happening in just a matter of days. Russia left and then all this is happening in the 4 days period. Then they're gonna leave. So I guess it's not much time, like, Is USSR is there? Is it not there? What is yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, this is not much of USSR. It's just like it's working on a delay, right? Nobody's gonna say Kazakhstan, that's the only USSR left. That's the real USSR now. No.
So quickly, very few people knew exactly what was going on. Internationally, many countries recognized the independence of Russia and Belarus from the Soviet Union, and thus, tacitly, they acknowledged that Kazakhstan was still a part of it. That said, nobody cared, and everybody knew that the Soviet Union was effectively finished.
It's a union, it can't be one country.
Done about it, which is why 4 days after Russia left, Kazakhstan did the same. It wasn't that they were holding out or trying to take on the USSR's mantle. It was just a vain hope that by remaining in the Soviet Union, Kazakhstan would maintain a good relationship with Gorbachev, whose role in the future was an unknown. Nazarbayev was a close friend of the president and similarly wanted to preserve the union. But when it became clear that this wasn't going to happen, Kazakhstan did the same as everyone else and they formally left the USSR. 10 days later, to formalise its dissolution, the leaders of the newly independent states met in the Kazakh capital and formally declared the USSR dead and buried, with Russia becoming its formal successor state. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and a special thanks to my patrons, James.
I like how they all meet in the Kazakhstan in the end because, yeah, alright, I guess they were the last one to leave. Sure. So it kind of makes sense, alright. Yeah. And Russia being a former successor state, I mean, come on, right? I mean, even when I talk about Soviet Union, sometimes I just say Russia and people told me like, it wasn't Russia, it was Soviet Union. Like, yeah, I understand it, but let's be honest, that Russia was kind of the core of it, right? It was a union, but core of it was Russia and everybody else kind of joined together, right? I mean, yeah. Kazakhstan, still held hope because of the, like I said, nepotism. So they were in unique position to basically, if USSR survives, they would benefit because, the relation with Gorbachev, I guess. So they're like, okay, maybe this is not going to happen. Maybe he'll come back, right? Maybe USSR is not going to dissolve. And you can't really blame them at that point. Like, it's like, 60, 70 years of USSR, right? Why would they think that it's just dead and gone? Because it's like a domino effect. One after everybody just started to left. It's not a, slow slope. It just happened fast. So we're like, oh, can't be. USSR can't dissolve just like that. Yeah, but it kind of did. So there you go. That was interesting. So I don't know if Kazakhs and Cossacks are the same thing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it can't be, right? Because because I remember Russia's southern region, there were Cossacks. Is that the same place as Kazakhstan? I don't know. But yeah, that would be interesting. Alright, well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you next time.